Last week on The Missing, Emma Brown, a 23-year-old woman, vanished on Inishmore Island on the 8th of April 2023. Emma was on a trip with her friend Grace Kelly. The two spent the day exploring the island on their bikes. The girls went for dinner and met some local people who invited them to a beach party. They got into the party between 10:10 and 10:15. Shortly after they arrived at the party, Emma and Grace were seen having a heated argument. Emma was seen leaving the party at 11 p.m. Grace followed her quickly after. Grace returned to the party between 12:15 and 12:30. This is the last time Emma was seen. This week we will do a deep dive into Emma and Grace's friendship and the theories of whether Grace had something to do with Emma's disappearance. The story of Emma and Grace begins in 2010 when the girls were just 10 years old. Emma and Grace met in Cork City at the Opera House. Emma grew up in Kerry, Ireland. Emma's parents travelled an hour every day for this drama camp in hopes to help Emma come out of her shell. Emma and Grace were an unlikely friendship, but maybe that's why it worked so well. They were attending a drama camp. Now let's talk about Grace for a minute. Grace grew up in Cork City, and she was in every essence of the word a city girl, and was an it girl even from the age of 10. Grace grew up in a middle-class family. The girls' friendship was strong. Throughout their teenage years, Grace and Emma would take any opportunity to spend time together. They would spend school holidays at each other's homes, and over the summer, the girls would spend weeks on end with each other. They were as close as sisters. Grace brought Emma out of her shell. Emma was quiet, especially around people she didn't know. Emma grounded Grace's wild side. After school, Emma pursued her passion for photography and attended the University College Cork. During this time, Grace gained a big following online. She has over 150,000 followers on Instagram. Although Grace came from a wealthy family, posting her life soon became a source of income. This allowed Grace to live a lifestyle that let her wild child run free. She travelled constantly. She was often photographed partying. Fast forward to May 2023, the two women had not seen each other in a few months, so they planned a trip to Galway. The trip was Grace's idea. They travelled from Cork train station to Galway train station on the 3rd of April. They were excited for their first getaway of the summer. The girls arrived in Galway some hours later. They spent from Monday to Thursday exploring the city. They went to Salt Hill Beach, shopping, and did a lot of eating and drinking. They travelled to Inishmore on Friday. The way you get to Inishmore for any non-Irish listeners is you must get a bus that takes an hour from Galway City, then get the boat to the island. This is a passer boat, meaning that no cars can come onto the island. Something that is worth noting is that it does not require any form of ID or passport to get on this boat. The women stayed in the Inishmore Hotel. They walked from the boat to the hotel and checked in at 6 p.m. After the women had checked in, they dropped their bags to the room and headed out. The two headed to Wattie's local bar that was a 20-minute walk from the hotel. The women got dinner and stayed for a drink. The women left around 12 a.m. and went back to their hotel. This is the only hotel on the island. The next day, Saturday the 8th of April, the day that Emma vanished. The day started with Emma and Grace getting breakfast at their hotel. They went to explore the island some more. The girls rented bikes and cycled around the island. This is a very common thing to do, as visitors cannot bring vehicles onto the island. The boat only carries people. At 4:30 p.m, Emma and Grace were seen entering the hotel and going back to their rooms. An hour later, at 5:30 p.m, they were seen leaving the hotel. They had come back to get ready for dinner. The two went for dinner at Wattie's, the local bar they had been to the night before. They had dinner and some drinks. They started to mingle with the locals. The pub closed at 10 p.m. The two women were seen leaving the pub with some of the local people who live on the island who were having a party on the beach. There were about 15 people at the beach party, including Emma and Grace. At the party, there was alcohol being consumed. At 11 p.m, Emma and Grace were seen having a heated conversation. Emma walked away from the party and Grace followed quickly after. Grace returned to the party between 12:15 and 12:30. Okay, so I contacted some of the people who were there at the pub and after the party to find out what really happened. What I have said before is all just facts that the police released. One man agreed to talk to me, but for his privacy he will be kept anonymous. I'll be referring to him as a person throughout the rest of this episode. I asked him to tell me what happened, and this is what he said. I was in the pub. It was before the summer rush, so seeing two tourists was unusual. It was early, around 7 p.m. The two women seemed like an odd match. One was very beautiful and glamorous, and the other was still very beautiful, just less fussed. Later on, after a few drinks, the group that I had met up with started to chat to Emma and Grace. It was very easy to see their dynamic. Grace was very outgoing, she talked a lot and just seemed to fit in with everyone. Emma was very nice and chatted with us. She was a little more reserved. As the night went on and the drinks flowed, Grace started to get very nasty towards Emma. She was just trying to bring Emma down. Grace told us how she did social media for work and how much it pays and such. She was just bragging. When people then asked about Emma, what she does, she told us about how she had just finished college and what her plans for the future were. Grace knocked her down right away. She would talk about how it would take Emma so long to get work and how she won't be making a lot of money. Why did Grace want to embarrass her friend and knock her confidence like that? When the pub was closing, it was still early, so we decided to have a party on the beach like we normally do. I say a party, there were about 15 of us. There was tension between Emma and Grace. You could just feel it being around them. I don't know what more Grace said to people about Emma. We started the party on the beach. There was music, a bonfire, and lots of drinks. We weren't there long when Emma and Grace started to argue. I read that it was a heated conversation. Trust me, it was an argument. It was plain to see that Emma was on drugs. I overheard part of the conversation, Emma saying, "You wouldn't do this anymore," and Grace said that Emma needs to lighten up. I could tell that Grace was on drugs. When we were in the pub earlier, she came back from the bathroom and started talking a mile a minute. I think that's what they were fighting about. I'd like to thank Person A for coming and telling us their first-hand account. This really gives us an insight into what happened that night. I contacted Grace Kelly to ask her about her account of the night. Unfortunately, I got a response from her team saying that she will not be answering anything about that night. All I want to know, and I'm sure you at home as well, is where did she go that night? She was the last one to see her alive. What happened between them? Grace has posted about Emma's disappearance on her Instagram. Grace has received a lot of hate and backlash online over this. I wonder why she made a public statement about what happened. Why has she not said what they thought about or where she went that night? Do you think Grace had something to do with Emma's disappearance? Let me know in the comments below. Next time on The Missing, I'll be discussing the theory of an escaped murderer living on Inishmore. 10 years ago, a man called John Mack was arrested and convicted of 4 women's murders in County Mayo. But before the court hearing, he ran. No one knows where he went. It has always been rumoured that he fled to Inishmore or one of the other Aran Islands. They do not need an ID or passport to travel there. Was Emma one of John Mack's victims? Until next time, stay safe.